Welcome to Plant Your Seed. I'm your host, Fred Ferris. On each episode, we share stories of how ordinary people have transformed their lives. Each story is compassionate, each story is authentic, and each story is a transformation. Here are the stories of the people who are changing our world by transitioning to a plant-based diet. Today on Plant Your Seed, joining us from Germany, we have Lena Kaneider. Lena is a holistic nutritionist communication student who believes that healthy plant-based diet is easy to follow and you don't need to miss out on anything. Welcome, Lena.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So happy to have you on Plant Your Seed. I would like to start off with when and why you transitioned to a plant-based diet.
For sure. That's a bit a longer story because I remember that I never liked meat. And in my family, we didn't eat meat a lot. Like my mom cooked it once per week on Sunday. And I hated it so much. I don't know. I didn't like the texture and how it tasted. And then we always had little fights each Sunday. And then when I was about 5 years old, my mom said, okay, I don't want to fight anymore every Sunday. You can become a vegetarian. And therefore, I was a vegetarian for the rest of my life. And then when I was 16, I stumbled upon veganism because my favorite singer became vegan. And I thought, wow, that's so cool because I wasn't a big fan of dairy anyways. I just added when it was hidden, for example, in pancakes or in different baked stuffs, but I didn't drink milk, a glass of milk or something like that. And I back then I said that I want to become vegan when I go to uni, that I want to try it out then because I thought I don't want to do it now because maybe it's a bit too difficult when I live when I lived at my family's place. And yeah, that was the plan. But then when I was 17, I went to the UK to do a school year there. And back then I got anorexic and it went really this whole situation was really bad. And I ended up at hospital and there I was then tube fed. And I knew that I had to start to eat again if I want to survive. And I couldn't imagine to eat something dead and something that contains suffering. And I had this picture in my head of a seed that out of that little seed a really strong plant develops with the help of sunlight, with water. And I thought when I eat plants, then I will get strong again. And then I can thrive because I don't eat that material. And therefore, I basically then transitioned to veganism overnight. And I'm very happy with my decision. And that was now 4.5 years ago. It was in September 2016. Yeah, that's my story basically.
Wow. I got a couple of questions on that. You said there was a vegan singer when you were 16. Who was that singer?
It's a German one. It was called Tim Bensko, but unfortunately, I think he's not vegan anymore. But at least he was back then, and he motivated me.
Right. No, and that's the thing. I think that a lot of people forget. It's not important, or it's not as important to look at it as the people, what they are now or what they're doing, but that person at that moment changed your life.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, true. He had an impact on me. And I also remember that I in school I had to write or we had to write a topic and I chose veganism and I discussed all the pros and the cons because I this topic it interested me so much and it was all because of him and therefore I'm really grateful that he did it back then.
Right. And that's the thing that I think people forget is that people can have a huge impact on other people just by making a decision at that time. Now, you mentioned at 17 that you had anorexia.
Yeah. Mm.
How did you know that you were anorexic?
I think if you are, then you know deep down in your heart, because I like when everyone said you're anorexic or you have a problem, you have an eating disorder, I always said no, I'm fine. But the thing is that I was educated about it. Like I read a lot of books beforehand, and I also kind of wanted to be anorexic, as stupid as it sounds. But when I left Italy to go to the UK, I also said to a friend, I will either return super fat or super skinny, because like everyone who went like to study abroad for a year returned a bit differently, because it's a whole new situation. You're in a new family, you're in another country, you have other food, and of course, like I'm a very ambitious person. I always want to be, or I always want to do everything perfect in a way, or I wanted. I got a lot better on that, and of course, for me, there was only like the one option to return super skinny, because like society says that being skinny is better than being fat, and therefore I started like to control my food, to exercise even more, and you lose control so quickly, so it's really really dangerous. And then at some point you can't do anything against it, and then you already realize that it's kind of too late and that you need help. And maybe it needs a lot of time until you really realize that you need help. As I said, that I was in hospital, I was tube fed because I just couldn't eat. It wasn't possible. And then, like after being in hospital for a while and talking a lot with doctors and just seeing how they looked at me and this feeling and everything, and how my mom cried every time when she looked at me, and therefore I just knew that I had to change if I want like to really survive, and if I want to live a life, because I had goals, I had dreams, and I knew that I had to start eating again if I want to achieve them, and to just stay a bit longer on this planet. And therefore I decided that that I will just give it a try again. And yeah, then I went vegan and everything got better.
So, were you originally vegan at the time that you were anorexic?
I no, I wasn't like in the beginning, no. But when I decided to recover, then I became vegan, because because I just thought that like if I start to eat again, then I want to eat the food I I really love, and food that makes me happy, and food that allows me to thrive, basically.
Why do you think that this happened? Do you think it's the social body image that created this with you, or do you think it's something else?
I think it's a lot. It's a mixture of different things, because I think that also your genes play a huge role. Because I remember, like I never felt good enough. I never felt comfortable in my body, even though I never was overweight or stuff like that. I also was sporty. I was a competitive swimmer, so I had to go to training several times per week. I was in a pool many hours per week, and I always enjoyed like healthy food. It's not like that. I don't know where it's coming from. Of course, also from seeing those images of perfect girls, perfect women, and wanting to look like them. That's of course also a part, but also a lot of struggle with myself, with just feeling that I'm not good enough, and that I have to be kind of perfect in every area, if this makes sense. Like if I that I have to that I have to have a body like models, like the perfect body to also be perfect on the outside. And I I don't know. It's just a thing of it's just a result of a lot of different things and a lot of um, mental struggles because many people can like another person could live the same life as I did and not get anorexic, but I probably also have this predisposition, and therefore I developed an eating disorder. It's so complex, and yeah, I don't really know all the stuff like why it happened, just some things, but yeah, it can happen to so many people, and it's really dangerous, and it's really important to do something against it.
You said that you feel that you have to be perfect, and you've mentioned that a couple of times now.
Mm.
Why do you feel that?
I don't know. I just always was a perfectionist. I wanted maybe that like everyone. I wanted to please everyone, and therefore I think I just wanted to be perfect. I wanted to return from school with the best grades so that everyone could say, "Oh, how good you are," and stuff like that. And I just, as I said, I wanted to please everyone, and I thought that therefore I have to be perfect in every area of life.
Do you think that that pressure that you
Mhm.
felt, it's kind of common for a lot of young women at the age that you were at the time?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, there's a lot of pressure on people.
Of course, because like there's school, then there's family, and of course, you also want to be liked by people around you. And I think this whole situation, also then with growing up, can create a lot of pressure on you. And it's not so easy to handle life all the time.
When you think about that decision,
Mhm.
when you're sitting there in the hospital bed with the tubes in you, and your mom's there and she's crying, and you make this decision basically to live. Can you take us through that?
Mm. Yeah, I just remember that I was also I was just like I was sitting in the hospital, and I wasn't allowed to go out, and it was so sunny outside. It was at the end of August. It was really warm, and school was about to start. It was my last year at school, and when I looked outside the window, I saw life going on, and I was inside, like inside that one room, and I wasn't allowed to leave. And then I thought, Lena, is that really the life that you want? And then I was, no, I don't want this. And then I also had this little voice in my head, which said, and you're also not ready to go yet. You're not ready to leave this planet. You still want to achieve something. You want to create something. You want to make many memories. You want to experience something. You want to travel the world. And I felt so miserable, and therefore I just looked at the sun and thought, okay, now you gotta change.
Okay, so you're there, you look at the sun, everything changes. Do you just tell your mom, I'm good now? Or how do you go about recovering?
Yeah, it was a bit difficult, of course, because I only like said one like a few weeks ago that I only admitted like being anorexic to my mom, and she knew how it was like before at home, how we had to discuss like each bite basically, and then I said to her, "Mom, I want to go home. I want to try it out." And she was like, no, you can't, because she was so afraid that I wouldn't make it then.
Right.
And then I went to the doctor and I said, I want to leave. And I had to sign something because I was 18 by the time. And then I could leave. And my mom didn't want to take me home with her because she was crying. She was so afraid. And then she left me there, and I called Tab. And then it brought me home. It was just like 5 minutes away or something like that. And then I was in front of the door with all the stuff from hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom said, okay, you have one chance. You can try it again once, but if it doesn't work, then you have to return. Then you have to go back to hospital. And I didn't want to do that because it was really a horrible time there, and a lot of stuff happened which was really, really bad. And therefore I thought, okay, I have this one chance, and I really have to do something now because I don't want to go back. And then I remember that the day after, my my mom and I got food shopping, and I knew that I wanted to be vegan, and I put so many stuff in the chart I haven't tried before, and we returned with huge bags full of food. And
Mm-hmm.
then it kind of also motivated me to try out new stuff. And I also downloaded Instagram because I was looking for meal inspo there. And I also started my Instagram account back then because it really helped me and motivated me to take pictures of my food, because I made colorful meals, and it really helped me to appreciate food again, and also to keep going because I had to upload something. And
Right.
therefore it really motivated me to stick to recovery. And yeah, that that's it.
How do you think that experience has changed you?
Um, I think that I grew up a bit faster, maybe in a way, or because like when I talked then with people who didn't know me, they said, wow, you're mature for an 18-year-old, or you're mature for a 19-year-old. And I think, because I also saw those not so beautiful side of life, that it kind of made me also stronger in a way.
Right. I have three girls,
Mm-hmm.
and I worry about everything, obviously, as a parent. How can we, as parents, stop this from happening to our kids? Are there warning signs, or is it the pressure of being perfect? Or what do you feel are some of the steps that we could take as
Mm-hmm.
parents?
I think, of course, that there are like many different things, and it also like every story is different. Because everyone who has an eating disorder has an individual story, and like different things can trigger those kinds of mental problems. But I think one thing that's really important is that the parents also have a healthy relationship towards food and towards their body, because, for example, if they talk about dieting or stuff like that, then I think it can also then make other people believe um, that they're like not thin enough or stuff like that, or that their body is not good. And I think it also a lot starts um, with the thing like about sweets, for example. If you say that sweets are something special, which have to be earned, then it's then they're conditioned like in a wrong way. They just should be seen as something normal, and you shouldn't have to ask for sweets or stuff like that. I think you really have to start like when your child grows up to just see everything as normal, and maybe also to not have the scale in the bathroom or stuff like that, because then someone may think that weight is really important and to focus then more on that. But overall, it's so hard to say because, for example, all those stuff that I said now, expect of the things with the sweets, wasn't like in my family. No one ever talked about dieting, and my mom always like cooked healthy food and stuff like that. It wasn't really an issue, and they also didn't have a problem with their body. Um, it's just so difficult, and I think you can't really protect your child. You can just do your best and live life with a good example, but when it happens, then it happens.
I noticed that you don't consume refined sugars, refined oils, and wheat because they don't make you feel good.
Yeah, it's refined oils. I've always had that problem with digestion, that I can't digest them very well. Therefore, I try to stay away from that. Wheat came with my eating disorder. I haven't had a problem with it before, but of course, like, because I limited my food intake a lot, and also like the types of food I ate. And afterwards, I felt that when I ate like something with wheat, that I can't digest it that well anymore, and that I always got stomach ache and stuff like that. And at the beginning, I also stayed away of refined sugar, but like nowadays, if if it's inward somewhere, then I basically don't care. When I go to a birthday party and the cake contains sugar, then I eat it, of course. I also like the vegan Magnum a lot, and it contains refined sugar as well. Um, I just don't eat it on a daily basis because I really love healthy food, and I love fruits. I love like homemade sweets with dates. I love dried fruits, and it's not something that I like. I don't feel restricted when I don't eat sugar like every day, because I also prefer the other stuff. But when I eat like sugar sometimes, then it's fine. At the beginning, I have to say I was very strict with that, but it's I think it's like when you don't eat all those kind of stuff, and when you eat very little, then it's not that from one day to the other you basically eat normal again, and that you eat everything without any problems. It took me a long time mentally to come to that point, to see that if I eat a magnum with sugar, that it doesn't kill me, and that I will survive, that it doesn't affect my body, and that it's also okay from time to time to eat something that's not super super healthy. But it was also a long road until I realized that. And that's okay as well. But now I'm not afraid of those kind of things anymore.
That's great. You've kind of come to the point where you realize that, eating healthy is the right thing.
Hmm.
Now, what I I guess I'm sure that the listeners are wondering what I'm wondering is, what do you eat then? I mean, people are like,
Well,
"Oh, well, she doesn't eat wheat, she doesn't eat this, she doesn't eat that, she doesn't eat this, she eats this." What do you eat?
oh, I love bowls with like every kind of grains, but and with veggies, of course, and stuff like that, and salads. But I really, really love potatoes in every form. I love them cooked. I love them in the oven. I love them so, so much, and I love stuff like summer rolls. What else? I'm not the biggest pasta fan because I grew up in Italy, and I had it like every week twice, which is not that much for Italian people, to be honest. But I always preferred rice. And yeah, I love sweet things like porridge, yogurt balls with granola. There is so, so much. I love pizza with other flours. I love to make falafel with chickpea flour. Oh, I don't know. The possibilities are endless. And I also really love corn waffles, um, or rye waffles and stuff like that. Yeah, I really enjoy this with with a dip made out of soy yogurt or soy tofu and silicon tofu's. Tofu's obviously every time made out of soy. Yeah, stuff like that. I really enjoy that.
You mentioned your Instagram. I mean, some of these
Mm,
pictures are just amazing.
thank you.
Do you just make these things and put them on your Instagram, or do you make them and eat them?
Both, both stuff. Like I make them, then I take a picture, and then I eat them. That's always the whole process.
So you're actually eating these beautiful pictures.
Yeah, of course. Not the pictures, the food.
I look at those pictures and I'm just like, wow, that looks so good. It looks amazing. Was there anything that ever held you back from being vegan?
Um, I actually went then vegan when I was yeah, I was 18 already. When I was 16, I just like discovered veganism for the first time, but I didn't I didn't become vegan back then. But yeah, before I just ate what my mom prepared basically, and I never thought about what it really is because like I'm I grew up at a small like in a small town and there was a lot like there were a lot of farms also in the region I grew up in and I always thought yeah the cow is there and it just gives milk all the time and I never questioned it. I didn't know what's behind like milk cheese and all this stuff and I was fine with it. Yeah, that's it. I never questioned it.
When did you start to question it?
um Maybe when I already was vegan when I was 18 because then at the beginning like as I said just maybe most out of health reasons and stuff like that but then you also educate yourself more you maybe watch a documentary you look for stuff online and then I was really shocked and I always thought wow there's so much cruelty in dairy industry it's not better than the meat industry because I always thought like the meat industry it's the devil but
Hmm.
I didn't know that like dairy industry is so bad as well and I was super shocked and yeah it's horrible when you find out about all that stuff.
Yeah, it really is. I had a similar experience as far as I changed over to a plant-based diet, a vegan diet, because of my health. I just thought milk was, cows just gave milk. And when you
Mm,
ask other people, sometimes that's what they say. And you just like look at them and you're like, that's not the way it
yeah.
works. What made you get to that point? Like just all those things that you happen to see?
Yeah, yeah, really all those things that I saw. Because yeah, I don't know, when you see it once and when you read it once, then I think I just felt disgusted by all of that. And then I thought, no, never ever can I eat something like that again because I know what's behind it. I know the cruelty. I know everything about it. It felt like that. And then I was like, no, it I just can't do it anymore.
I know that you're a student right now.
Hmm.
What are you doing right now in your life?
I, as you said in the introduction, also, I'm now a holistic nutritionist, and I became this like last year, and right now I'm starting or I'm finishing to set up my website because then I also want to start to have clients because I want to help people to bring their vegan diet to another level, like if they're already vegan, or also help them with their transition. and just to help them with whatever they need in terms of food, lifestyle, healthy lifestyle choices. And as you said as well, I'm still a student, a communication student, and right now I'm in my last semester before I have to write my bachelor thesis. So that's also kind of time consuming and taking a lot of my daily time as well. And yeah, then I also have Instagram. I really have to do a lot to stay on track. I have to take pictures, but I really enjoy it, and also to communicate with all my followers. That's so nice because 99% of them are really nice, and they also make me kind of happy, especially now during those difficult times. It's nice when you have the feeling that you can also talk to people you don't know and still kind of be in contact with the world outside. And that's really nice. And yeah, that's what I do all day right now.
What is one habit that you use to stay on track with your
Mhm.
plant-based diet? I mean, you make these great bowls and everything, but how do you create them ahead of time, or what's your process?
I never create ahead of time because I'm always at home. I don't need to do meal prep or stuff like that, and I also really enjoy to cook. I always listen to a podcast while cooking, and it's me time basically. And I think nowadays it's really difficult to have a vegan diet, and I think the habit basically that helps me to stay on track is to just prepare food that I love, food that makes me feel satisfied physically and mentally, and then my body gets everything that it craves, and then I'm feeling satisfied, and I don't want to have something else. I just eat what makes me happy, what makes me feel good. That's like a lot of colorful food, also food for the eye. And yeah, that's what really helps me.
Do you stand in your kitchen a lot and make meals like for hours, or is it like something you just throw together?
It really depends. For lunch, when I make oatmeal or stuff like that, then that's really done quickly. But in the evenings, I really like to um, to take to take some time. Also, like all the cutting takes already up a lot of time, so I don't stress myself. And then I sometimes also I'm in the kitchen like for 40 minutes maybe. But usually all my meals are super simple. I also cook intuitively. I almost never use recipes, and yeah, I don't cook very fancy stuff as well. Like I've never been longer in the kitchen, maybe as like 1 hour or something like that.
So you never use recipes.
No, because with recipes, like sometimes you don't have the stuff at home because they have fancy ingredients or stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. I always love experimenting. I'm more that type. Also, like when I have a recipe, then I use it just as an inspiration and make my own out of it most of the time.
What book or documentary would you recommend to somebody transitioning to a plant-based diet?
The Game Changers, that's a documentary. I think you can also watch it on Netflix. I really like this a lot because it's also also combines sports with like the vegan diet, and it shows that you don't have to miss out on anything, that you don't lose your strength when you transition to a vegan diet, and that you can thrive on it also if you're a sports person. And I think it's a really great one because it's also rather new. And I loved How Not to Die from Dr. Michael Greger. And maybe there's also a German who's listening. And then I can really recommend Vegan Klischee AD from Nico written now, because it also like says what you have to have an eye on which vitamins and stuff like that, and that can also be really helpful in the beginning.
Wow, those are some great choices. I love that Game Changers movie.
Yeah, me as well. I watched it when it came out, and I was like blown away because it's really good.
Yeah, it just has so many facts in it and so much information, and it just
Yeah.
makes sense on so many different levels.
Yeah.
Now, finally, can you give me one word to describe how you felt before you were vegan, and one word to describe how you feel now that you are vegan?
Okay. That's kind of difficult, but I would say before, like my overall state, mentally, physically, everything, I felt a bit lost maybe.
Mhm.
And afterwards, maybe happy. Happy, that's what describes it best.
Right. Happy that you've transitioned and that you're continue to going on.
Yeah, happy, and just, I have a much more like positive attitude, and I'm so much grateful. I'm so grateful for everything that happened, and I'm grateful for every little thing in life, for the food I have, and yeah, I'm just such a more positive person, and I'm so much more optimistic. And yeah, I'm really happy with my decision, of course.
Yeah, you are a super positive person. Thank you so much for being here. It's such a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much for having me.
What's the best way for people to find you on social media?
My handle is, oh, it's a bit difficult because it's German. It's Lena Lini, but it's basically Len, like Lena, and then dot Alini. Maybe you can put it in the show notes because it's a bit difficult. And yeah, that's my Instagram handle. You can find me there. I reply to all the DMs I get, and you can ask me anything if you want so. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah, I'll definitely put that in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was great to be here.
Hope you are inspired by this story, and remember, it's never too late to plant your seed. Links to everything we talked about on the podcast can be found on Instagram at plant.yourseed in the show notes tab in the bio. If you enjoyed the show, remember to leave us a review, and until next time, thank you for listening.